Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. My name is Austin Betha. If this is the first time here, you are most definitely welcome. Please do hit the subscribe button before you leave, and also give this video a very big thumbs up at the end if you enjoy watching it. Okay, of course you guys are aware that we will definitely pick up from where we stopped yesterday because the doctor was still on the show today and he spoke to a couple of other housemates. Although I have to point this out now, although he would not be speaking to all the housemates on this reunion show, he's definitely going to be meeting up with them one-on-one. Some of them have things that they have to talk about in the inner room, so these are not things that we should be privy to, and that's understandable. I mean, we should also respect their privacy, okay? I also need to point out to you guys that I will be reading out a lot of things from my notes because this is not me coming to narrate what was said, okay? The reunion proper has ended. Now, this is some kind of therapy for the housemates, but then I need to let you guys know that it's not only the housemates that are under this therapy session, because me myself, I've gotten to learn a lot of things from this doctor, so I don't think I want to narrate. I just want to read out to you guys what was said, who said what, why they said it, you know, and how they said it. So today's conversation started out with Ella, okay, and Bbnaija was the first person to make a comment. He mentioned that her circle was really small. Maybe it was a case of her letting people in, or just a case of people not letting her in. He also mentioned that she's going through a lot of trust level issues as well as family issues. And for the doctor, he actually feels like Ella is a goal-oriented person, considering her music and, you know, all the things that she had to do outside of the Bbnaija show and even before the Bbnaija show. When Ella was allowed to speak, she said this: "Losing my legs and my arms would still not stop me from singing. I mean, music has always been something that I love to do, but at some point I figured that music might not just be enough, so I decided to do more, which was why I auditioned for the Bbnaija show, and on my second trial I got into the Pepper Dem gang. In terms of my music career, the growth is definitely going to happen because now I'm doing my music the right way, so it goes up from here." Bbnaija asked her, "How have you been able to handle validation from people in terms of your career and as a person?" Because again, you guys know that Ella had a lot of issues with most of the housemates, if not all of them, even though it wasn't even during the show, but she had issues with them when she got out of the show, and you know, that kind of led to them not trusting her and not wanting to relate with her. And for her, she said, "I just want the people I'm affiliated with to know that they can trust me. I'm still on the journey." And I feel like she's been putting a lot of effort to become a better person, because you guys remember that episode where she apologized to the housemate and she was like, oh, she's going to be a better person, and of course they've all accepted her. I just pray that in real life that's how it is, okay? Anyways, the doctor now decided that, okay, look, it's time for me to now drop some words of wisdom. Okay, you guys know that this man is full of wisdom, and today he mentioned that we are social animals and that it's not wrong for us to seek validation. He also went on to say that people might not approve of you in public, but secretly they are admiring you. So it is very important for us not to lose out on who we truly are. It is important that you stay true to yourself, which is something I always preach. You need to understand yourself. You need to know why you even exist in the first place and why you're doing things the way that you're doing them. Once you figure all of that out, it would then be easy for you to navigate your way through life. Now, it was time to talk about Tacha, and in Bbnaija's words, Tacha was many things in the house. When people think of confrontation, they think of Tacha. And the first thing the doctor mentioned was that he was already following Tacha before the Bbnaija show. And for him, he felt like Tacha was playing the CC game, Tacha was playing the T-Boss game, and that he was really looking forward to that character. I mean, for him, it was just a subconscious thing because, again, people can be grouped into characters. So it was actually something he looked forward to because he knew that, of course, there had to be someone that would come and behave like CC. There has to be someone that will come and behave like T-Boss. It's just normal, like when you meet somebody and they tell you, oh, you actually talk like my friend. That doesn't mean that you're deliberately trying to be the person's friend. It just means that you guys have a similar trait that would readily make them think, oh, you look like my friend, oh, you talk like my friend. And that's exactly how he saw Tacha. He went on to say, Tacha sticks to her anger. Even if you are doing birthday or you're celebrating anything, Tacha will not greet you. And you know, I feel like that's very apt. Tacha is that person that she doesn't even care. Like, if she's not happy with you, she's not happy with you. If you like, roll on the floor, use your white bedsheet to mop the floor for her to pass, she will pass and still not tell you thank you. And let me just tell you, there are so many people like that. Tacha will not be the first person to act in that particular way, but then because she was on the show, because she was on the spotlight, yeah, it was really easy for us to now dissect her, analyze her, break her, tear her, and that's fine, okay? That's okay. Once you decide to go on a show like that, be ready to take whatever it is that comes with it. To be honest, yeah, it almost seemed like the doctor really understood Tacha. He really understood her even before the show, because most of the analysis he was giving, most of the things he said about her were things that she had even posted way before Big Brother NAIJA Pepper Dem show. You know, he mentioned that when she needed people, they were not there, because she had made a post about one of her hypocritical uncles who always tried to act like, oh, he was going to be there for them, but then at the point where she really needed him the most, he was nowhere to be found and all of that stuff. He also went on to mention that Tacha has been shaped by the experiences she had. You know, she's that one person that would always say, oh, I did everything by myself and with the help of God. She feels like no person helped her. She feels like nobody else could have helped her. She feels like everything she has achieved, she achieved it just by working hard and just by the grace of God. And if we're going to be honest, we've obviously heard Tacha say these things. Oh, I did everything by myself and with the help of God. No man born of a woman has helped me. I day here, I full ground, you know, no leave, no transfer, Tacha, everything Tacha, I do by myself. We've heard her say these things. So when the doctor said it, it was really no surprise to me at all. At this point, yeah, the doctor figured that it was very imperative for him to ask Tacha a question. But before he went on with that, yeah, he mentioned that it is important for us to know that experiences can tamper with our interpersonal relationship. And if you think about it deeply, that's actually true. Okay, most of the times, yeah, the things you've had to experience, the things you've had to go through, actually shaping the way you relate with people. For example, if I trusted a group of friends before and they betray me, it would be very difficult for me to trust someone else, because, oh, what if this person actually repeats the same thing these my friends did before? You know, things like that can actually affect the way you relate with people. Now he asked Tacha a question. Tacha, do you believe you need people? I felt like that was a very deep question, and I was really looking forward to Tacha's response, okay? So let me just read out to you guys what Tacha said. In her words, we all need people, but I don't always expect things from people, and that explains why my circle is really, really small. And then the doctor went on to say, look, you don't need to have a large company, but you still need people. A tree does not make a forest. He actually said that in Yoruba, but right now I don't think I want to bite myself. I'm not Yoruba, so even if I try, I'm going to make a mess out of it. So let's just forget that part. The doctor then went on to talk about emotions. You know, for him, he felt like Tacha fought her emotions a lot, even when it was obvious that she really liked someone. And then Tacha went on to say, for me, it was more of focusing on the game. It was really distracting. Let's do this whole I like you, you like me thing outside. I wasn't sure of anybody, so I did not want anything sneaky, because by the time I get close to people, it would be like, oh, we're friends and you still nominated me. So because I did not want all of those drama, I decided to just keep to myself and play the game in the best way that I could. And the doctor then mentioned that that again was a self-protective defense. You know, you didn't want to hurt anybody by claiming to be their friends and still going to the diary room to nominate them, or you just didn't want any issues with anybody per se, so you were basically just trying to protect yourself. It was at this point he now mentioned that emotional intelligence is the key to interpersonal relationship. You understanding the fact that, oh, this thing I said might have hurt this person, or this thing I'm about to say will definitely hurt this person, and then you decide not to say those things because you do not want to hurt those people. That would obviously strengthen the relationship you have with people, because you already understand how they are going to react to something way before you say it. Look, I read a lot on emotional intelligence, okay, and because I read a lot of literary novels, it was really important for me to understand psychology to some extent. So yeah, it's important to understand that before you say this thing, you have to think about it, like, okay, if I tell this person is mad, how would the person feel? Would the person commit suicide? Would the person be happy? You know, and that will basically guide the kind of things you say to certain people. Because I can tell Mr. A, you are very stupid, and Mr. A will laugh. But I'll tell Mr. B, you are stupid, and he will slap me. So am I going to take the risk of getting slapped because I'm being insensitive? No, I'm definitely going to find a better way to tell Mr. B that he's stupid. You know, I can never come up with something like, Mr. B, do you know that this thing you are doing is as if you are stupid? You know, I've put as if there. Even though I'm still telling him that, Mr. B, you are very stupid though, but I've used sense. So that way, yeah, that is as if will kind of tone down his anger, and he will not be like, you must be the stupid person, as opposed to getting a slap. Do you guys understand? Emotional intelligence is actually very deep, and it's a very, very sweet topic. I could talk on it for a very long time without even getting bored. But let's just move on, okay? Because this show is not about me, it's about the housemates. Bbnaija then went on to ask Tacha, being outside the house, do you feel like it affected you? And in Tacha's words, it actually affected me outside the house, and that's why I chose to come for the reunion, because it was important that people saw me for who I truly was and not for the game. For me, the most important win is outside the house, and I'm winning. I'm also happy that other housemates are winning too. Right now, I'm more welcoming. I get to smile more so that people can see me from a different light. Dr. then went on to mention that although he understands where Tacha is coming from, but her fans, the Titans are getting it all wrong. You know, they're taking the whole Titan thing too far, like, you know, no man can talk to me, I'm this and that. They're taking it to a whole new feminism level, and that he's really glad that Tacha is trying her best to change the narrative. In his words, it's very good you are not allowing the perception people have of you to keep you down. We have to understand that we cannot live a life of, oh, I don't care what people are saying. We also need to know that self-discovery is important. Look, it's okay for you to make mistakes. It's okay for you to have lived a certain kind of lifestyle. But the most important thing is understanding who you truly are, what your values are, what you're trying to achieve with your life, and then retracing your steps where there's a need to do that. Tacha also had these things to say. In her words, most of the things I did in the house were more of a defense mechanism. All the housemates had their approach. Now, coming out of the house, I decided to take a different approach. And then speaking to the doctor, she said, I'm glad that your perception of me is pleasant. It only goes to show me that there's been some level of growth that is visible to others. I mean, we all can see that she's trying so hard to be a better person. Maybe she hasn't fully gotten a hang of it. Maybe she's still having issues, you know, being a different person and doing things differently. But I'm definitely sure that with time, she'll get better. But then again, she also has to put in the effort, because you cannot keep saying, oh, I want to become a better person, or oh, I'm trying to become a better person, and you still keep doing the same things that you've been doing in the past. These things just contradict what you say. It just keeps making people confused about who you truly are and what exactly it is that you stand for. Tacha then decided to be Tacha. You know, she decided that it was time for me to ask the doctor a question, because the doctor has been asking questions since. So now let me ask doctor a question. And she was like, doctor, what did you think of my disqualification? Why is it that people did not seem to understand that I had just been qualified and I needed some time to myself? Why were they expecting a lot from me almost immediately? And the doctor first mentioned that, look, Tacha, I already predicted your disqualification with my pseudo Twitter handle. And he went on to describe the types of mechanisms that we have. He mentioned the adaptive mechanism, and he also mentioned the maladaptive mechanism. But then he spoke more on the maladaptive mechanisms. He mentioned that these are the ones that are fueled by natural instincts. Personally, I feel like I need to read up more on the mechanisms and the kinds of mechanisms, maybe to have a better grasp of what they were saying. Because to be honest, I do not know so much about these mechanisms and, you know, how they affect us as humans. But then he stated something. He was like, your disqualification wasn't a day's event, okay? They were accumulated. These things were already a predisposition. It was bound to happen. And I kind of agree with that. I would not necessarily say that Tacha's disqualification was as a result of yanking Mercy's hair or, you know, that particular fight they had that day. For me, it was an accumulation of many things. Because they had like worse arguments, worse heated arguments, although there was no yanking of anything and all of that. But I feel like there were things that could have even gotten her disqualified before that day. But then that was the day that God said, okay, look, Tacha, it is high time you left the house. And like the doctor said, everything happens for a reason. Perhaps if she had not been disqualified, she probably wouldn't see the need to try a different approach. She probably wouldn't see the need to become a better person. You know, so when we're looking at the bad angles to things, we also need to sit down and figure out what are the positives that have come out of these things. Because trust me, no matter what it is you've gone through in life, or no matter what it is you're going through in life, there's always a lesson to learn, either good or bad. Now, Tacha said this year, it was a very down moment for me, and I needed some days to myself. But the good side to it was, you know, coming out to meet the love from people. Now, trying to bring it home, I have chosen to give back to people because I know what it means to want something but cannot have it, simply because you cannot afford it. I'm grateful for this platform, and I'm also very grateful for the opportunities that have come with it. Now, it was at this point the doctor decided to explain some things to us. It was like, look, there's something called the external and internal locus of something. I did not really get what he said. But basically, he explained that the external one has to do with the event that has happened to us without us having any fault, while the internal has to do with events that has happened to us as a result of some faults that we ourselves have. He actually went on to give us an example. He was like, look, when you write an exam and you score 70 over 100 in that exam, when somebody asks you, oh, what did you score? You will be proud to say, I scored 70 over 100. But then when you score 20 in that same exam or in another exam and they ask you, you're always very quick to say, they gave me 20. Why didn't you say they gave me 70? Why were you proud to say, oh, I scored it? It almost seems like you do not want to take blame for the bad things that have happened to you. And for him, he actually mentioned that it is very important for us to sit down and have a moment of retrospection. Bad things happen and they will still happen. So So it is important to always learn from every experience. Like I said before, I'm learning a lot of things from this man, okay? It's not just about him coming on the show and trying to drop these words. If we do not actually put them into practice, they will slip off our fingers, and at the end of the day, we will still remain who we are without necessarily making any change whatsoever. Look, it's easy to blame people when bad things happen to you. You always don't want to take the blame, like you are the perfect person now. Better cannot do any wrong. Better cannot make any mistake. But that's a lie. Even in that your sense of perfection, you're being imperfect. Because the truth is, you cannot get everything right, okay? You cannot always be right. So it's okay for us to always learn from our experiences. And then it was time for us to talk about fraud. And the first things the doctor said about fraud was really, really funny. In his words here, he said, fraud is fraud, okay? Fraud is fraud. For him, he felt like fraud was just there to play the game, and if he's going to judge fraud based off of how he played the game, he would give him a thumbs up. But then he also went on to mention that fraud was the one that allowed himself to be misunderstood by a lot of people. He said, fraud, you wear your heart on your sleeves, and it was always mistaken as a weakness. People see you as a woman rapper, and that was actually wrong, because again, it is okay not to be okay. Look, it is okay for people to ask you, how are you? And you say, I'm not fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to say fine when you're not fine. You don't have to say yes when actually what you mean is no. Sometimes you need to say no, because guess what? No is a complete sentence. No is no. For the doctor, he mentioned that in an attempt to struggle to be a man, you may lose yourself. Again, interpersonal relationship was a big problem for you, fraud. Now, the doctor went on to use himself as an example. He explained that he does not have a lot of friends, but at the same time, he also does not have a lot of enemies, because he obviously does not like to apologize. He feels like if you can avoid the things that will make you say sorry, avoid them. And that kind of interested Tacha, because she feels like that's the kind of person she is. And according to the doctor, it is okay to deliberately try not to offend people in order to avoid saying sorry. But when there are innocent errors, you should genuinely say sorry. Now, the doctor went on to mention that he would like to have a personal session with Frodd, because he definitely wants to talk to Frodd about his relationship and his emotions. And because these are things that were really sensitive on the show, he would prefer to talk to him about it off camera. And I truly respect that. But then, of course, you guys know that Frodd be allowed to speak. And in his words here, men are groomed to be bold and strong. I grew up with family, and I understand the depth of men don't cry. My mom groomed me to be both a man and a woman. She always told me that it's okay to let it out. Now, the only reason this was visible was because there were cameras everywhere. People have different ways they express pain. For some people, they cry. For some people, they drink to stupor, while some people just do stupid things. For me, my mom had a cancerous tumor, and at that time, I did not have money. Too many things were just unsure before I got into the house. That had me just overly expressing myself and trying to be transparent. But then I had an issue with bullying, okay? Anti-bullying is something I understand, because I was always the smallest in my class. Now, in the house, during the show, I stood up for myself a lot, because people were trying to suppress me. People felt like it was all a game for me. Now, outside of the show, coming out of the house, I do not blame anyone, and I also relate well with everyone. I was repressed for 2 to 4 weeks of the show, and as soon as I became head of house, I told myself, Frodd, it is you and you alone. So I decided that now it was time to play the game. So that kind of explains why we misunderstood Frodd. You know, Frodd had a lot of things he was dealing with. We knew that his mom was not well. He complained about not having money. If you guys remember the audition story they told us when they got into the house newly, how his friends were the ones that dropped him off at the audition center. He didn't even have any money to go back. The cab guy was just there. You know, you will understand that Frodd had issues, okay? He was open to us from the onset. But the only reason we chose not to see all of that about him was because, oh, it's a game. Everybody wants to come here now telling us story. Everybody wants to play the pity party. But then in the real sense of it, yeah, he was being honest with us from the very beginning. And I actually feel bad because I misjudged him at some point. Frodd, if you're watching this, I'm truly sorry, okay? Anyways, it was then time for the doctor to wrap up everything. And in his words, when you set goals, allow nature. Don't completely write off pessimism, okay? Do your best, but don't let the results affect your dynamics. We must learn how to react to bad news. We must have some level of self-consciousness when some certain things happen to us. We need to find a way to forge ahead, regardless of whatever it is that happens. it's always an ongoing journey and you should never stop until you get to your destination. Now that was basically everything that happened on today's episode. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Like I said, this is not a joke for me. I'm taking a lot of things away from this particular episode, today's episode and that of yesterday, and I hope that you are as well. Unfortunately, but fortunately, we have just one more episode to go. Now I said unfortunately because we don't get to have these moments again with this doctor, not anytime soon, and I said fortunately because you guys are aware that the season 5 of the Big Brother Naija show would be starting on Sunday. So let me just give you guys the information now. Alright, the price for this year is 85 million naira. 85 million naira. There's a 30 million naira cash prize and gift and all of that worth 55 million naira. Okay, now this show would start on Sunday, like I said, 19th of July, and the channels to watch out for this is DSTV channel 198 and GOTV channel 29, and the time is 7 p.m. so make sure to tune in to your DSTV and your GOTV channels by 7 p.m. this Sunday. Not the upper Sunday, this Sunday 19th. After we watch it, we'll now gather, okay? We'll now gather as Bethans and discuss, have our family meeting, and then decide on how best to go about the reviews, because we need to find a balance, okay? We all have lives outside of YouTube. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a very big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and please subscribe to Betha's Corner. As always, I'll leave the link in the comment section, so please click on the link, subscribe, watch my content there as well. Thank you so much for your love, and I'll definitely see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye.